Hello guys, in this short tutorial I'll show you how to create tabs using CSS3 and jQuery. There are a bunch of stuff you need to know. You need to know CSS3 a little bit, an understanding on a few concepts, and then how to create elements in HTML, and then how to handle events in jQuery, and also add classes and delete classes and something like that. It's not that complicated. You don't need to master all these three, you just need to know the basics, the fundamental basics. And I'll be using Node, which comes bundled with npm. If you want to install Node, just go to the link here and download Node for your platform. They give you instructions on how to install for each platform, either Windows, Mac, or Linux. And I think they have binaries for all of those. Node comes bundled with the npm, so you don't have to install npm after you install Node. And I'll show you how to check out the versions you're running on. Make sure you have the latest version if you want to support the latest features. But if you're more the kind of more conservative person, you can install the stable version, which means that all the modules installed have been tested and they work perfectly. I'll be using HTTP server to serve my static pages. So it's a module or a package in npm, and to install it, I'll install it globally so that I can use it on any folder that I want. So I think now is the time to begin to actually code. So I'll open up Visual Studio Code. This is the editor that I chose. You can use anything else. There's Sublime Text, there's Atom, there are a bunch of other text editors out there. It really depends on preference. So let's create a new folder in the folder that I used to put my code, and we'll call this tabs. I think that will do. Open up the folder. So let me show you guys how to check if Node is installed in your machine. First, you need to close all instances of the command prompt and then reopen the command prompt and then check the version. Mine is 7.10. This is the latest version in my time. Yours may be different depending on which year you're watching this tutorial. And you can check npm by checking the version, and then you can check out all the npm commands by typing help, and then you'll see that install is one of them. I don't know why it's taking so long, but in the meantime, there you go. So there should be installed somewhere right here. There you go. This is the one we'll be using most to install our packages. So if you need to use HTTP server, the best way you can do it is to install it through install HTTP server, and then you put a G flag for global, which means that you can use HTTP server from any folder that's in the C drive, in the D drive, in the E drive, anywhere. I already have HTTP server installed, so there's no need to reinstall HTTP server. Once you're done installing HTTP server, make sure that you're in your current tabs directory. So you can either you can just, like for instance, I can just navigate there by cd code /tabs, and there you go. I'm in the tabs directory. If I want to serve all the pages, all the documents inside, of which there are none, I'll just do a HTTP server and it'll be able to serve, and it serves on port 8080. See, you just have to copy this and then put it in your browser, and for now there's nothing that will actually happen. Let's just do a localhost 8080, and it does nothing because there's nothing to serve right now. So let's create our first file. you have to call it index so that HTTP server can know that this is actually the first file, so it's the only file. If you have multiple pages, you need to have an index file. Doc type, let's create the HTML document. So inside the HTML tags, I'll put a head and a body, and the head is where the page properties reside, the configurations, the settings, something like that, meta information, things like that. These elements are not viewable. You can see them. They're not like buttons or pages. They're just information about how the page will be set up. So the title will be tabs, A, and then we're going to create a character set. We're going to use a character set of UTF-8. And then since we'll be using mobile, I want to configure the viewport. And the width will be set to device width. The initial scale will be 1, meaning that though it's relevant, though it will be shown, it doesn't scale up or anything, and the user cannot scale. The user should not be able to scale. User scalable is equals to no, meaning that the user cannot zoom into the page. So I think that's it. Let's now create our elements. We'll have an unordered list for our tabs, and then we'll have our other elements inside this div element, which will give a class of main. This is where we'll put the main contents of the page, the panels and stuff. So let's create the panels. Div class panel. Then we'll give this an ID of 1. Inside the panels, I'll just put a heading, h3. I will call this first panel. And we're going to create 3 tabs, so we'll have 3 elements for 3 tabs. And then we just change the ID to 2 and this one to 3. And this one will be the second panel, and this one will be the third panel. In the unordered list, we'll put some list items, and the class will be tab. You can put any classes you want. I'm just creating class names that I can relate to well. So I'll use a paragraph instead of a link, and I'll call this tab 1. And I'll have to copy this and then paste it out. 2, 3. Once we're done with that, we can our page is currently being served, so we can just refresh that, and I think, come on, there you go. Looks ugly, so let's make it look a little bit prettier. Check it out, mobile, on iPhone 5. This is what it would look like on an iPhone. We can toggle devices, and Lumia 528 will just look the same way. So let's put some styling, and we'll add a style sheet here. Style sheet, and then we'll create the href attribute, and we'll just put a style.css here. Let's create our style sheet. So the first thing I want to change is the font family. let's set this to Segoi UI light. I want to see, let's just test if it's actually working, and yes, it does work. And I want you to check out the list item. Let's take the highlighter. You can see that there's a padding for the page, and then the list item, there's a margin. The orange lines at the top and the bottom are the margin. We want to get rid of that, and then also want to get rid of this padding inside here. It's the green part. The green part symbolizes the padding, and then the blue part symbolizes the content area. So and then there's these 3 dots right here in the padding. So we want to get rid of those dots and the margin and the padding. And using our style sheet, all we have to do is select the list, the order list, the whole thing, and then list style type will be none. Here we can put, I think, bullets or something. No numbers. Let's just use none. Then we'll set the padding to 0 and the margin to 0. Oh, I'll have to take this phone call. Give me a moment. And I'm back. So list type none, blah blah blah, all that. So let's refresh that, see what that does, and it looks a little bit nicer. So let's specify the height to around 50 pixels. I think that's enough. And then for every list element, I want the width to take up a third. So I'll just put 33%, which is a third of the width. And then I'll align all the text to the middle. There you go. What else? And then I'll float them to the left. Refresh that. There you go. Looks a little bit nicer. So for every list element that I'll click, I want to add the class active to it, which will create a border bottom of 3 pixels solid, and it will be this color. There you go. So I'll give one list item the color, the class active, the first one, so that we can see what it will actually look like. So this is what I want to happen for any element that I click. I want this little line to be drawn underneath it. So if it's 2, I want it to be drawn on 2. If it's 3, I want it to be drawn on 3. So we do that programmatically using jQuery. So let's grab our jQuery, copy that. Let's close that up, and then we open up Explorer so that we can paste it in. There you go, there's jQuery. And then we'll restart the HTTP server. The good thing about HTTP server is that whenever I save the pages, you can just refresh it without any hassle, and then everything will be aligned. So let's create a script tag for jQuery. Source will be jQuery.js, and close the script file, the script tag, sorry. And then down here I want to create a script for my own self, my own script file. So I'll call it I'll think of a very unique name. There you go. Call it script.js, and then close it up. And then I'll create my script file. And inside the script file, let's just start right now. Script jQuery. That jQuery, select the document, and then when the document is ready, invoke this function So everything in here will run when jQuery is ready. So we want to listen for an event, which is the clicking of this tab element, this list item, one of these list items, if you click it. So how do we do that? We select all the classes with the value tab, and then if one of them is clicked, function, what I want to do is that I want to remove all, for every tab element I want to remove the class active. Any element with the class tab, I want to remove an extra class that might be there with the name active. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select the tab, all of them, and then I'm going to remove the class called active. If there's no class called active, it will just do nothing and move on and look for any element with the class active. So after I've removed the class active, I want this particular element that has been clicked to be added a class called active. Same class I'm removing from all of them, and this is the effect. So let's just save that and we'll see the effect. Refresh that. So if I click this, active goes here, and then the line, the border bottom goes here. See, it gives us this feature that looks like tabs, but there's nothing actually being done. So we want something that will relate from this list item. We want to relate to this particular one, so we want to relate them using the ID. So we'll create values using the data attribute, data, that hyphen, and then we can call it anything. I'll call mine tab, and the value here will match the tab I want to, the panel I want to display. So copy that, paste that in, change this one to 2, change this one to 3. So for each of them, if it's clicked, then I want to get that attribute name and display it on the console. So this, the element, the list item that I've clicked, this is how you get the attribute. The attribute name is data tab, and then we'll put it in a variable called tab, and then we'll console.log tab. So let's switch to the console, and for each of them that I click, it actually shows either 1 2 3 2 1 2 2 3 3 2 3 1, switches automatically. So we want this value to make this one visible. So first of all, we need to make them invisible. Now there are two ways to make them invisible. First, we can use visibility hidden. Now we're not supposed to use visibility hidden, because if the visibility is hidden, it will take up the space. It will still take up its space. So second panel will appear below the first panel. Now if the first panel has a lot of data in it, the second panel will appear like you have to scroll down to actually see your tabs, and that's not the kind of thing we want to happen. We want it to be displayed as none, meaning that it won't take up any space, meaning that if every one of the panels will replace the other as one of them is switched into V1, all of them are all of them will change the attribute display to none, and then we will display one of them, the one with the ID matching the data tab attribute, and display it out. So first of all, let's style our panels. So the class panel, we want to display block none so that we can hide them. all of them. See, just like that. And then we want to add another class called active panel, where the display will be block. Now for this active panel, I'll give one of the div elements that class, so that we can actually show this first one, and it has to match the first one here, and then they have to match here. Refresh that, it's the first panel. But if I switch, still the first panel, because we haven't put the programmatic we haven't actually made the script files. So what I want to do, because this one matches the ID, and the ID syntax is hash and then the ID name, let's create the ID syntax. So var ID is equals to, we concatenate hash and tab, so that you can create hash1, hash2, so that we can use the hash based selector to select the actual div elements. So tell jQuery to select the element with this ID that has been tapped, either 1, 2, or 3, and then remove. No. First of all, we need to remove the class active panel from all of the panels, so that all of them can be invisible. Again, there you go, all of them are invisible. And then the one with the ID that matches, the one with the data type that matches the ID, we want to add class active panel, and that's it. That's all you need to do. With just this few lines of code, you've done it. Basically, that's it. So let's just refresh it so that you can see it. If I click tab 2, second panel. If I click tab 3, third panel. See, I'm switching between the panels. I can just switch between the panels. Now you can add other event listeners like swipe left, swipe right, swipe, things like that. You can integrate that. If you don't know how to integrate that and you need me to do a tutorial on that, you can leave that in the comments. For that, I'll leave that to you as an exercise. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. There's more coming, and I believe you'll learn a lot from this tutorial. Thank you.